Greetings and welcome to Armored Core Requiem, the series where I take on players' submitted builds and optimize them to the best of my abilities. I've been doing this for a while now, and so far my upgrades have not disappointed. The process goes like this. I take on a player's submitted build, upgrade it live on stream for any viewer as well as the creator of the build themselves to add any input before the final verdict. And then I do this, I make the video discussing the original gameplay of the build as well as all the upgrade decisions, and then do a final PvP test to determine which variant is superior. So if you have a build you would like me to take a look at, you can leave a comment with the build information and or share code, depending on not if you're on Xbox, and yeah, I'll give it the good old Requiem treatment. However, if you want a faster result, you can find the link in the description below to the Xbox Fight Club Discord, or you can go to the Requiem Workshop and post your build information there. There I'll get back to you much quicker with the upgraded variant, however I will not be giving it the YouTube treatment of going over every single change. You can ask questions and we can have a more personal, private conversation about the build's upgrades in case you don't want the build to be public, or you just want a quicker result without all of the bells and whistles of the video. But yes, all is said, I appreciate you all, have a good one, and enjoy the video. Greetings and welcome back to Armored Core Requiem. As per usual, we have two builds to take a look at. Both were upgraded at last live on Monday, so if you wish to participate in those lives, drop your builds, interact, have a say on how the upgrades work and all that cool stuff. Keep me in mind for Mondays. And before we begin, I want to remind everyone that we are doing a sub goal / challenge. If we reach 2,500 subs, we will be doing a Requiem week where we do a video of Requiem similar to this every day for a whole week. But with all that said, let's get into the builds. Alrighty, for our first build, we have a close range heavy Tetra with a grand variety of weaponry. For our primary weapons, we have the stun bomb launcher Therapist. Think of it like any range shotgun, although the projectiles are pretty slow, so at a further range they are quite dodgeable. It does make it for it makes for a decent kiting weapon indeed. But yeah, think of it just like a shotgun, but it can be used at almost any range, and you might get the rare proc of the status shock effect. Next, we have the new heavy machine gun. This weapon's great at medium to close range for constant stagger buildup, as well as pretty decent direct hit adjustment, allowing you to shred the opponent if you are out of a stagger punish. Think of it as a weaker but way more consistent minigun. For shoulder weapons, we have the LCA triple laser cannon. This weapon is fucking nasty. It only does double the damage of the LCS, despite being 3 cannons, but I guess that would be pretty broken if it weren't. But yeah, no, the only downside this cannon has is the fact that its fire rate is pretty slow, its cooling's pretty slow. It's really only good as a stagger punish or as a type of lead up in a combo. If you're just trying to use the normal shots over and over, you're better off going with the LCS. As well as its EN cost and weight is a lot. And then lastly, we have the stun needle launcher, a weapon that I think needs some, is in desperate need of some love, to be honest. Hopefully it gets kind of tweaked with next patch. Either it needs its static shock build-up heightened so that it pretty much stuns on every hit, or just its velocity increase so that it's more viable to land. Because honestly, it's quite dodgeable, and the risk is not worth the reward. Especially considering the LCS is cheaper in both weight and EN, and it serves a similar role in terms of damage. Again, similar to the triple laser cannon, it's a solid staggered punish, especially at range, but outside of that, it's just not going to do you a whole lot of favors. The current frame parts are just to allow the AC to actually be usable, as our current EN load is near max, and changing many of the parts would result in being EN shortfall, which is not very good indeed. And with our current assortment of parts, we're at 10k AP, which is honestly pretty low for a heavy Tetra, especially on Vero legs, so that's not the great. 1100 defenses, which is great. 2300 aptitude stability, which is dope. That's just about enough to shrug off an assault armor, although chances are you'll get stunned anyway, as you'll probably have prior stagger. And 260 speed, which is about base speed for a heavier Tetra like this. For inner parts, for boosters, we have the Grid Walker, a solid booster for its upwards thrust, as well as its melee thrust and melee thrust energy consumption. Although its counterpart, the Coral booster, is definitely better, but as we can see, EN shortfall. For FCS, we have Ocellus, making this a close range build, which I would definitely opt for something like the Talbot or the Waltz, but EN shortfall. Generator Coral, very solid for a build like this. And expansion terminal armor, also pretty solid for a build like this. Any heavy, high DPS build can definitely make good use of terminal armor. Now when it comes to the flow of the build, honestly, just use kicks to get the height advantage, go hover mode, and then just spray and pray everything you have pretty much. You could charge up the triple laser cannon for some type of stagger punish, but yeah. It's just, you know, you just kind of spray and pray whatever you have. There's not really any weapon synergy thought that went into it, just highly or high DPS weaponry indeed. But yes, this is the original build. Let's take it into the Requiem workshop.
これがレクイエムだ。
And here we are, Requiem. For the primary weapons, I ended up switching the stun bomb launcher to a much more fitting weapon with great synergy with our build, that being a Tetra. That is the Quan Ji bazooka, a very nice bazooka, decent weight, but its reload is where it really shines, allowing you to fire it quite often with, yeah, almost no downside, especially on a build like this where we can hover and fire it without standing still. As well as I ended up switching the heavy machine gun to the Zimmerman, as it is a much better option for close range stagger buildup. Although not as consistent, definitely better for burst damage, which is kind of the idea of this build. Although in hindsight, honestly, might have been better to go with the explosive thrower, as it serves a very similar purpose, much more damage, as well as it does take advantage of our Tetra legs in hover mode. So a solid option is also the explosive thrower. For the back weapons, just running double LCS. These laser cannons are full cannon nuts, especially if you use the normal variants over and over. You get a lot of DPS. You can fire them up to like 4 shots before they cool down, and yeah, you get a lot of stagger out of them, get a lot of damage. And yeah, on Tetras, they're incredibly oppressive. Considering we are a heavy Tetra, the frame parts are very much reflective of just high stats and defense. And for inner parts, if you're going into 1v1s, the Coral Booster will be great, as its ideal weight is nuts for its reload, 90,000. Its upwards thrust is great for getting up there if you're not relying on kicks. Its assault boost is very good, as well as its distance, its dodge boost distance and reload, jet duration anyway. Its consumption is not that great, but yes, the quick boost thrust and jet duration is great, allowing you to travel quite the distance in hover mode, making a big boy like this actually evasive. However, if you're going to 3s and getting to the fight is the main concern, and getting that damage out, the Bristle booster will be most excellent. For of course its assault boost speed. For FCS, keeping ourselves as that is our range, as well as the Coral Generator and Terminal Armor. Alright, and the flow of this upgraded version is a lot more fluid, where you can fire off a lot more things, and it's a lot more simple as to what you're doing, and their overall effectiveness indeed. And of course with a build like this, very much dodge and attack type of bob and weave tactics are at most excellent. Dodge, fire, all that good stuff. But yes, this is Requiem. Me and my buddy Shattered will be doing the PvP tests, piloting the original Shattered will be, and I will be piloting Requiem. But first, let's take a look at our next build. Alright, here is our next build, a lighter weight bipedal, high stagger close range, bazooka, and melee wielding AC. For our primaries, we have dual ducats, a very solid option for close range stagger buildup with a nice effective range of just outside the close range FCS tracking range. And although their damage and impact is mighty, their recoil is quite high for weapons such as this, which usually puts them down the tier list compared to their other counterparts. For shoulder weapons, we have the Quan Ji bazooka. We went over this just a second ago. Its fire rate is nutty, as its reload time is great, and its damage is solid. Very good for getting some initial stagger or a stagger punish if you are at range. And for our last weapon, we have the Laser Blade, a melee that's a little too inconsistent for my own liking, as its charge attack can tend to hit once and then swing over the opponent at some angles. Very wonky indeed. But if it does land, the hits usually stagger pretty much every build, so it can be very good if someone is chasing into you and then you charged up, rather as a stagger punish, although as a stagger punish it is very much possible. So overall, a very solid melee, just a little finicky with hitboxes. For frame parts, I believe these are all mainly just for style, so best not to read into them too intently. For inner parts, we have the Flugel booster, a very solid booster for A, all-roundedness, and B, its melee attack thrust and energy consumption, allowing you to get the stagger punish, even if you're decently far from your opponent, although using the charge attack, you won't really see much of that benefit. For FCS, we have the Albabot, the Ocelus's little brother. For generator, we have the VP20D, a very solid generator for natural regeneration, as well as a nice sizable amount of EN capacity. And for expansion, assault armor. For playstyle, much like close range builds, it's very much just get close, use your primary weapons, use your bazooka whenever you can to also get some stagger break. Once stagger is broken, go for your melee. Kind of botched it a little bit there, but you kind of get the drift of just stay close, use your bazooka whenever you can, and since it has a very quick cooldown, honestly you'll see good opportunities to use your bazooka quite often. But yes, this is the original build. Let us go over Requiem.
これがレクイエムだ。
And here we are, Requiem. For primary weapons, I ended up switching to the Burst Machine Gun Isujins. These are far more superior at close range high stagger buildup, obviously less range, but yeah, we don't really need range as our range is to be close anyway. As well as their recoil being 3 makes them very nice to pair with low recoil arms such as the Basho. For shoulder weapons, keeping the Quan Ji for its fast reload, as well as it's just a great bazooka for this type of build. Although I did end up switching the melee to the Pulse Blade, the butt, as it is a lot more consistent in all of my experience. And if you really like the stagger property of the laser blade with its swinging hits, you can of course just use the charge attack of the butt and you'll still get the same result. Very good for setting up with other weapons such as Charge Harris as well as others. For frame parts, we have the Varel head, Melandra core, Basho arms, and Hal legs. This is all to stay within the 350 speed threshold, which we're just 1 point below, which means we're pretty much in it. And with this new assortment, we have 10k AP, 1100 defenses, 1800 stability, and like I said, 350 speed, which is very, very mighty indeed. A general tip for building is to set a speed threshold goal. You can start these thresholds as I do, starting at the lowest of 250 and then 20 points above every single time. And that's where you'll start to see big jumps in speeds and weight breakpoints and how your booster is affected. It's a very simple way of doing it, and yeah, it works out quite well. For inner parts for boosters, we're going with the Alula for their natural weight boost, quick boost, and assault boost, as well as quick boost reload time, allowing for builds like this, very aggressive close range high stagger builds to split the distance and stay on the opponent. Very epic boosters indeed. For FCS, just upgrading to the Ocellus, as that is our range. For generator, you can go with the VP20C if you want great natural regeneration while keeping this 350 speed. However, if you want to sacrifice a little bit of speed, drop down to the near 330 speed threshold. The Coral Gen is very good for much more aggressive playstyles, such as my own, when you don't have to worry about natural regeneration. You just keep fighting until you redline and get all your energy back in quick bursts like that. And then lastly, switch the expansion to Pulse Armor, as it is much more useful in much more scenarios. And when it comes to the playstyle of this build, very much the same. Just get close, use your bazooka whenever you can, proc stagger, and melee. Alrighty, and those are the upgrades. Me and Shattered will now do the PvP test. Shattered will be piloting the original variants. I will be piloting Requiem, and we shall battle to see if the upgrades are indeed worthy. Enjoy.
So we're using Coral Gen units, I thought. Kind of wanted. I do want to kind of make like a building guy for like building AC. I know a lot of people just like don't even know what like good supply efficacy is. Like on the server. Ow. God, this thing's a piece of ass. Ow. Like a half like a Vensverb Smith is trying to troll. What are you doing, huh, with that? Ow. I guess the great stun needle trade into double LCS. Yeah. Yeah. I'm too fragile. I don't have the trunk either. That's why I put on Capricorn, got a decent job of hitting kites.
Mm-hmm. Fasan is indeed mighty.
I can stagger them too, like stagger the shots. It's great.
Oh yeah, for sure. Alright, we'll see what we can do here. Bazooka, melee, high stagger, close range, balde.
It's pretty even, but I still have less
See.
chunk.
Oh yeah, but a lot less chunk.
Hit. First throws hit, mine doesn't. Oh.
No.
I thought you might have one. I also have the God, I need to remember that you can't just shoot the fucking...
God, I
You're
boost so
that
fast,
high.
I didn't even mean to boost that many times.
Ow.
You lie. Oh, nice hit,
Aha, I
let's
hit you.
go.
God, I cannot control the recoil on these things.
It is dicey.
Don't those hit you? Really?
No, I don't believe in such a thing. To be honest, I didn't mean to go for the melee, but hey, it's worth it. Oh, just
Not
be
the same
freaked
idea. That miss.
No. This is such a goofy fight. It's great though.
Ow. That's it.
GG. Oh no, not beat hell. Not beat hell. Alright, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sharing your builds. And yeah, if you could please take a look at Shattered's artwork, comics, and all that cool stuff. I'll have links to Shattered's social medias in the description below, as per usual. But yes, all this said, y'all have yourselves a very good one, and I will see you in Reforged. Peace.